Michael Brown's death 2 years ago, that was a moment where there was a really strong call for a public lens into what's happening.
If the police chief is not willing to give us the transparency, then we got to do what we got to do as a people.
Police body cameras became the solution.
We should make sure every police department has body cameras.
Look, it can solve a lot of problems for the police.
It ensures accountability, transparency.
We will expand funding for 50,000 additional body-worn cameras.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back, Adam. Get out of his face.
Today, we have millions of videos, thousands of people wearing cameras.
Taser CEO Rick Smith is seeing a bump in business as a result of this.
The #1 seller of body cameras, Taser, has seen sales surge in just a year.
Even with body cams on police officers, we still have police officers shooting unarmed black men.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up!
Communities need to know how officers are going to be using cameras. Will body-worn cameras be just another tool for surveillance and injustice?
Our plan by the end of this year, every patrol district will have the cameras by the end of December. When everybody has a camera, the chief will say, as of this date and time, they're now mandatory. So my goal with this whole project was to make this honestly as easy for you guys as possible. You go out and patrol and record a video like we talked about. End of the shift, you come back here, you turn the camera off, take it off your chest and dock it. At that point, you guys go home. And that is the last time you have to interact.
Roughly 1/3 of all U.S. police departments have adopted or piloted body-worn cameras. Nearly 200 receive federal funding to do so. In August, Cincinnati agreed to pay $6 million for over 1,000 body cameras and 7 years of data storage.
What we're experiencing, or what we've been experiencing for a couple of years now, is when we go to do our job on the street, that the periphery crowd is pulling out cell phones and recording everything we're doing anyway. So I believe the national sort of paradigm shift was, it's time for us to have body cams.
The public, they don't see what you guys do on a daily basis. You guys live it, you guys know it. So the day after, the person who was tased has their lawyer there, their nice Sunday clothes, saying, I have no idea why Brendan tased me. Let's go back and watch the body camera video. So I personally believe this camera is going to benefit far more than it's going to hurt us.
The policies that are being adopted by police departments across the country, by and large, favor the departments themselves.
Harlan Yu is founder of the Washington, D.C.-based firm, Upturn, which advises policymakers on social issues and technology.
The leadership conference in my organization did a 50-department study of body-worn camera policies. And what we found was a nationwide failure to both provide for transparency and to protect civil rights. These are cameras that are worn by police officers that point out at the community, and in many cases, the police department decides who gets to see that footage and when.
Raise them high and let them go.
Cincinnati's policy actually rates pretty well, according to Harlan Yu's study. Ohio law allows anyone to request body camera footage, a win for transparency. We requested footage from the days we visited, and the police department blurred out the parts it deemed private. Even so, body cameras capture a lot of intimate moments.
Can I help you? He OD'd.
Oh, nice.
Right, so we'll get this out of the way.
And sensitive information still gets through.
What's your name, brother?
Same issues.
Sorry to hear that.
We got him clean, though. We got him clean, yeah.
Officers can view their unredacted clips by logging into their cloud-based server, evidence.com.
Okay, so we responded to a scene of this is a nurse practitioner right here. He had put in a call. This gentleman right here had made statements that he was going to kill himself. So he requested that we come out to transport him to psychiatric emergency services. This is where he starts speaking right.
Ow! Tase my ass! Get that fucking gun out and shoot me!
goddamn here. Come on, go
Get
ahead.
back.
Tase
Get back.
Go ahead. I got an aneurysm. Get it right here.
No.
Get the fuck off. Get the fuck off.
This kind of shows you how you only get a partial angle, like you can't actually see us handcuffing him. Even though we have a camera here, it's going to give a limited view of what's going on. And no matter how many videos and cameras you have, it's not always going to capture the totality of the circumstances.
In late September, we rode along with Cincinnati officers during their first weeks getting used to the new technology. Officers began recording when they arrived on scene.
All right, we'll start it.
The camera's rolling?
It's rolling. Let's see which house this is. It's down here. Red brick. Apparently there was an argument yesterday over something. She believes that the kids that were in the argument came back and broke into her house. And you can see there's some handprints on the window, so.
And then they close.
If you look up here,
they close. They close friends. All you gotta do is ask.
They literally are just going like, pushing the window right up.
Jeez. You know this one?
I think there's going to be a lot of getting the kinks out of everything.
Actually just saw him earlier today.
Especially when it comes to privacy rights for citizens. We don't even have to inform people that we're recording them. They're going to be back to print your window. Okay? Just light.
They took ravioli?
They come in, they eat food, they get high inside their place.
That's-
They're breaking in to eat the ravioli and then they're taking off.
Nothing's sacred anymore, man.
A number of officers that we rode with expressed concerns about the cameras. Weeks before our visit, the Cincinnati Police Union had actually fought against wearing body cameras. The union got on board only after the city agreed to a bump in pay for officers.
You know, I've worked for almost 30 years without it. So we lived in a world where we were judged on our words. The minute my camera malfunctions, it's going to be because I was trying to cover something up. It's electronic. It's going to get wet. It's going to fall off. It's here to create a bigger trust, but when it doesn't function like they expect it to, it's going to create more distrust.
So they're supposed to be sitting on that stoop. The body cams are going to eliminate a lot of false citizen complaints. Hey, Mr. Price, how you doing? How you doing? Mr. Price, do you got anything on you shouldn't have? But at the same time, when you've got cops out here doing the right thing, you know, I think that should count for something. All right.
You have your taser, you have the badge, you have the authority. All of that stuff protects you physically. This body camera will protect your character, your soul, your family's well-being.
Is it too tight? Okay. Let me lock them.
This is a kind of an insurance policy for you if it goes bad.
You good?
Was taken by 3 young teens.
Going back to 75th.
In 2016, just days after receiving body cameras, Chicago police officers pursued a stolen sports car on the city's south side. The cameras captured the chaos leading up to the suspect's death.
Get me over. Fuck, I can't.
Most of the officers on scene recorded with body cameras, as required by policy. But the officer who chased down and shot the driver did not record until after the fatal incident.
Good afternoon. Once again, we have a body cam of the actual shooting, which either didn't work, was turned off, was manipulated.
We just want answers, the truth, that's it. Nothing further, just answers and the truth.
Right here, Paul O'Neill driving down on a one-way street. The police car was driving. So after being shot at, he collided with the police officer at this point. He exited the vehicle and ran into the backyard. Yeah, the picket fence. That's what I remember.
Less than a minute after Paul O'Neill was shot, another officer arrived and captured the confusion that followed.
Your hands behind your back! Fucking shoot at us. 7351 on Merrill. Hey, you okay, dude?
Huh? Yeah. You?
And they shot at us too, right?
I shot at the car after it almost hit you.
As it turned out, Paul O'Neill did not have a gun. The police seemingly mistook their own gunfire for his.
There's not a video of the fatal shot because they deleted that footage, or their account is that the officer didn't have it on at the time and he cut it on after he shot him. You know, it has to be a better way than allowing them to control it, because we'll always have scandals.
With the current technology, it's up to each officer to activate his or her body camera. Here, the officer who shot O'Neill may have turned his camera on when he thought he was turning it off.
Man, I think I shot that motherfucker, man.
Fellow officers kept warning him he was on the record.
Man, this is so fucked up, man. I don't want nothing to happen to that fucking guy, dude. The way shit's going, man, I'm gonna be fucking crucified, bro.
Even if the policies that departments are putting in place look good on paper, there's a secondary question, an important question here about police discipline.
I was concerned by some of the things that I saw in the videos, and that's why we took such a swift action that we did last week to relieve the 3 officers of their police powers.
There's no politically correct answer to this. There's not.
There is an ongoing investigation into Paul O'Neill's shooting, but protesters are frustrated at the slap on the wrist officers have received so far
More than these officers getting death duty.
was for shooting at the moving car, not for failing to use their body cameras.
I think it's tempting to say if there had been a body camera, we would have seen what had happened. There would be accountability, and either way, there would be a clearer picture of what happened.
The problem with body-worn cameras is that it's just one perspective. I think this is best illustrated by an incident that happened in Marion County in 2014. Officers were wearing body-worn cameras, and they were chasing after an individual.
He walked over to the sidewalk and lay down on the sidewalk, spread-eagled.
You can hear on the body-worn camera footage officers screaming, stop resisting, stop resisting.
Okay, get your hand behind you! Stop resisting! Get your hand! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Okay,
He claimed that they beat him unnecessarily, and nobody believed him until that video from the nearby building came out.
The idea behind body cameras is simple. Everyone should behave better, when they know they're being recorded.
Come on, you're up here. A lot of people have complained about it. We just need you to step over here for a minute and talk to us, okay?
And in many cases, that's proved to be true.
Happy Halloween. There we go.
But a 2016 study published in the European Journal of Criminology found that when there are not strict rules in place governing how and when body cameras are used, officers' use of force can actually go up.
What's up, y'all? We are live at CPD headquarters, getting harassed by police already. Yeah. Y'all know who out here. Only the black cops. They only send the black cops out here. They ain't gonna have no white cops come talk to them.
You have this very, very complicated reality between police officers and citizens, and you're plopping this new technology into the middle of it.
I can't shake your hand on camera, sir. Can't do that on camera. Hit me with an elbow.
Cameras are everywhere, each telling a different version of events. With the technology evolving so quickly, it remains to be seen whether more video will heal or hurt public trust.
Last year around this time, a movement began. We got every officer to have a taser as well as a body camera. But even though that they had body cameras and tasers, still you saw Paul O'Neill get shot in the back unarmed. So we're here today to say there's a lot of work to be done. We're not trying to attack the police. We just want change in our city. And so that should not have the type of reaction.
At the world's largest gathering of police chiefs, tech companies showcase their latest products and compete for new business. This is the Super Bowl of body cameras.
Body cameras competition has gotten a little more aggressive over the last couple of years. Yeah, this is our biggest conference we have of the year.
I'm the police chief in Louisville, Colorado. Small community, about 22,000, no crime to speak of. One of the things that we're interested in purchasing this year is body cams for our officers. It's the question of which one we buy, so.
There is tons and tons of funding. Millions of dollars are going to body cameras. Body cameras have become a big business.
So this is a small form factor camera, weighs 2.7 ounces. And I will tell you, this is the single most disruptive piece of technology at the show today.
They can put this in their coat pocket.
Easy on, off.
As I move the camera, I can look and see.
I think there's a lot of competition because companies recognize that really the camera is that's just the beginning.
Our big product today is an auto activation holster. If you draw the gun, the camera automatically comes on.
Automatic recording triggers, live video streaming, officer down, safety reporting.
Augmented reality glasses.
What's your status? We'll build sensors into an entire suite of protective equipment.
Dominating this nearly $1 billion market is Taser International, the maker of stun guns. Taser also makes the Axon body camera, now used in over half of major U.S. cities, including Cincinnati and Chicago.
If you look behind me, we have a theme here, and that's to get to the truth as quickly as you can.
But Taser's success has also come under scrutiny. In 2016, Taser was sued by one of their competitors for alleged bribery and unfair trading practices.
All right, so welcome aboard.
I'm Rick Smith, CEO and founder of Taser International. We're committed to doing everything we can to support those who protect and serve us. That's why we created Axon.
There's been something of a revolving door between Taser, especially, but other companies as well, and police departments. There are several police chiefs or other high-ranking officials in police departments that have left their department and gone pretty quickly after that to Taser.
They have police officers on their payroll, and next thing you know, they're turning around and issuing a contract to Taser and may not even go out to bid.
In 2013, Taser paid Albuquerque Police Chief Ray Schultz more than $16,000 in travel expenses That's while the city was considering a body camera program. Taser was awarded a $2 million no-bid contract, and Ray Schultz soon after retired and consulted for the company. A state auditor's investigation later uncovered emails from Schultz admitting to greasing the deal for Taser.
It was a poor choice of words on his part. He certainly wishes he didn't characterize it like that. Virtually every company in the space hires retired police chiefs as consultants to go speak because they're the experts. So, we play by the rules.
As the industry leader, Taser is in part writing its own rules about the business and technology of body cameras. The company is focused on driving innovation that could transform policing as we know it.
This is the entrance into our Taser building, and right here is where we do our iris scan to get into the facility.
Thank you. You have been identified.
And then we open up into Taser headquarters. We'll do all of our voluntary exposures out here for those that choose to experience a ride on a Taser. It's not an odd event for us to hear screaming in the atrium at our headquarters. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
This is the Matrix. Because when you sit into these chairs, it's kind of like you're being plugged in, to the Matrix.
So this is my desk right here. And it's funny, like people are like, oh my God, you're the CEO. Like you work in this chair.
Where's your corner office?
Yeah, where's the corner office? Well, I do get a corner, so I guess I get that part right. In late 2004, kind of everybody wanted to be Taser. The stock was on a tear. The company was growing at triple digits. But by January 2005, nobody wanted to be Taser. People were calling us killers. Investors calling up, they were super upset because they're reading all these bad things about us in the press. As I look back on it now, that made the company better and stronger. That's one of the reasons we got into cameras, was this idea that we saw value in transparency, and that's now helped us build a second, even larger business. When we first started talking body cameras, our customers thought we were crazy, our competitors thought we were crazy. We then said, not only are we going to expect you to wear a camera, but we're going to put the evidence in the cloud. I remember police chiefs telling me, what are you talking about? This is evidence. It has to be here at the police department.
So, your agency's considering on-officer cameras. Here's the math. Let's say you've got 10 officers with cameras. Research shows that each officer will record 60 to 90 videos per day, or up to 32,000 per year.
Setting up the infrastructure to be able to take millions of videos and secure them, encrypt them. This is a pretty heavy technical challenge. And that's when we pivoted, really our core strategy to be about cloud software, with the cameras being certainly a part of it, but the real sort of core being the evidence.com platform.
I think one of the things that police departments are finding is that the real cost is coming after they buy the cameras. It's really the storage of the data and how they're managing it that is, in some cases, just astronomically expensive.
Taser, like a number of its competitors, stores millions of videos from around the country through Amazon Cloud services. Storage options for police departments can range from $20 to $80 per officer per month.
We've got about 5 petabytes of information, and if you look at the curve, it's growing. It's a pretty smooth exponential curve. Last quarter, we wrote around $45 million in Taser business and around $72 million in Axon business. Today, the reason police buy cameras is to protect from that one incident, the Michael Brown incident. The promise, I think, is much bigger. For the platform like evidence.com, we have information about people, places, things, events. How do we put this information to use? If I'm an officer, I walk up to someone, should a camera sensor be able to recognize them and screen them against police records and say, okay, this person has a violent history or this person does not? I think that's something that is in the public interest.
Facial recognition is in fact fairly unreliable, especially for women and for communities of color. And so when you're talking about body cameras being used, if they're being worn by officers who are disproportionately policing minority communities, and then potentially coming up with threat scores for those people that will be incorrect for that and other reasons, That, I think, raises huge civil liberties and privacy concerns.
Some government agent can hit rewind on your life and start sifting through it with a fine-tooth comb. That's not really a world we want to live in. That's too much power for the government to have.
Facial recognition software is not yet a reality for body-worn cameras, but TASER does plan to offer it in the near future.
Ultimately, we can't live in a world where everybody else has great technology and we expect the police to be writing on a post-it. Technology solves our biggest problems far more so than any other aspect of human society. Look, not all technology is great and sometimes has unintended consequences, but on the whole, those are problems that I think we find intellectually interesting and worth solving.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Officer Tenzing, UC Police. You have a license on you?
Yeah, what happened? When was it
Okay. Is this your car?
Yeah. What did you pull me over for?
This body camera footage is from a University of Cincinnati police officer, Ray Tenzing, moments before he fatally shot Sam DuBose during a routine traffic stop.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off for me.
I ain't even doing that.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off. Stop. Stop!
He wasn't dealing with someone who was wanted for murder, okay? He was dealing with someone who didn't have a front license plate. I mean, this is, in the vernacular, a pretty chicken crap stop, all right?
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
The shooting of Sam DuBose was one of the first high-profile cases where an officer was charged with murder because of body cameras.
If there was no camera at that scene, the media would have taken the word of Tenzing and the other officers.
Yes.
Woo!
Come on! Help me! Let's fight!
In November, the trial of Ray Tenzing was about to start, and the DuBose family supporters were hopeful for a guilty verdict.
This situation here with my son, it's going to make a change.
There's so many times that we done saw this happen where there was no justice. If it wasn't for the body cameras, Ray Tenzing wouldn't have been charged at all.
It's everything we have. Without the body cameras, it wouldn't be nothing. You wouldn't be here, it wouldn't be no story. He'd be a hero, my brother would be a criminal, cut and dry.
What happened? So as I'm opening the door and he's, with his left hand, he's pulling it shut while simultaneously starting the vehicle.
And that's when he reached out with his right hand and he tried to ignition.
Ray Tenzing's courtroom testimony sounded a lot like his initial taped statement given 2 days after the incident. At that point, Tenzing had already watched his entire body camera video.
Did you view your body cam video this morning?
For Cincinnati police, this would be a breach of policy. Officers involved in a criminal investigation are not allowed to watch their footage until after giving a statement.
By watching the footage, it actually could skew officers' memories, and officers could conform to what footage shows rather than what they actually saw.
I remember thinking, oh my God. That he's gonna run me over and he's gonna kill me. That he's actively dragging me with his car right now and my arm is stuck in there.
Well, until I can figure out if you have a license or not, go ahead and take your seatbelt off for me.
I ain't even doing that.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off. Stop! Stop!
A forensic video expert who examined this footage testified that DuBose's car had barely moved when Tenzing shot him.
The court has received word from the jury. Even after further substantial deliberations, we are unable to reach a verdict on either count 1 or count 2. We have concluded our deliberations. By reason of your inability to reach a verdict, I declare this case a mistrial. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much.
You're here, prosecutor, take your now.
Joe, is there a better place for this?
Sure. Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you feel like against the doors?
Yeah.
Joe, first of all, your reaction to the fact that there's a hung jury.
I still think it's murder, and I think that we proved it.
Had there not been a body cam, we may not even be at this point.
I mean, I hope that the use of body cams becomes, much more in this county. Clearly, it was the heart of the case. Now, did we employ it correctly in terms of convincing a jury? We convinced a lot of them, but not enough. Okay?
They're not a silver bullet. They're not going to bring justice in every case. They're not going to even make clear what happened in every case. But even when they don't bring justice, sometimes they can make clear just how much injustice there is.
While y'all out tonight, if y'all see any protesters, you gotta let us know so we can have enough officers. Don't go into no large crowds, just wait. How you doing?
The Hamilton County prosecutor announced he will retry Officer Tenzing, hoping that a new jury will see the footage as clear proof of guilt. Meanwhile, Cincinnati continues to roll out its body camera program.
Check everybody's cameras on. You're flashing green. You're green. Flashing green. All right, everybody's cameras on. All right, fall out, people.
Turn my camera on.
Today, communities are demanding a new level of transparency and accountability from police. But it's too early to tell if these cameras can deliver on that promise.
Have you ever been arrested in Hamilton County for anything? Okay. The body cams are what the department and the public want, so, it makes sense. But at the same time, it shouldn't take a video for the public to understand why we do what we do. So that's why I kind of sit in the middle. All right, go ahead, have a seat.